And my first major break was consulting for a cellular phone company that has zero sales. And I produced a 3-page document for them. And they went from 0 to 100 million naira within 6 months. And they offered me 1 million naira retainership. Again, remember, a Mercedes then was about 40,000 naira.
Wow.
And so here was a very young man who was wearing jeans and just had a laptop and would go to a corporation and just daze people, and get results, Now, how did I get to that is the question, and that is a challenge that parents have. Now, when I was a young boy, I used to do a lot of cartooning. I used to do a lot of drawing. Now, if you sat down with me at that point in time, you will say this boy is going to end up an artist. And that's the mistake we make. We make a mechanical progression of the giftings of God instead of a conceptual progression of the giftings of God. What is a conceptual progression? What was being displayed at that point in time was creativity. The application was drawing. So I could design furniture, I could cartoon, and so what I do now is that companies come to us and we conceptualize ideas for them, create products for them, show them how to increase their market share. It's still creativity. So parents, if you see your child drawing, that is not where he is going. That is the application in which he could handle at that point in time. Allow him to be. That guy is the same thing Joseph had. He could create nations. He could conceptualize economies. Creativity knows no bounds.
Nice. You did the 2 things we always talk about. What's that? You worked hard and you...
Have fun.
Have fun, my man.
It's a real star you got there.
Thanks.
Take care of those hands. They're taking you places.
I got hands. I'm gonna go pro.
You definitely could.
Easy money.
Easy money. Have you ever thought about what else you could be? Go alongside. You could be a brain surgeon. Your hands could operate as skillfully as Dr. Myron Rowe. Or a sports agent, handling big contracts, like Rich Paul. What about an artist? You can be as creative as Brian Blue the Great. The art you make could inspire the world. Son, you can even be an astronaut. Flying in space with Leland D. Melvin. Sure, with those hands, you could play for a team, but you could buy a team. Ownership. Get to wear the rings first.
I can do all that, Dad?
You can be anything you want with these hands.
The video in which Mr. Alder was speaking about how he started out in life is very instructive, because you notice what he said there, and that's what I chose to pick out from it. I really think it's a very deep insight he shared there, but people might miss it. He made the point that many parents, the minute they see a child expressing himself, at that early age in the formative years, by, for instance, maybe demonstrating an ability to draw or things like that, they immediately want to just box the child into that career line. But what they fail to understand is sometimes a child is just expressing his creative instinct or her creative instinct by doing that particular activity. It doesn't follow that that's what the child would like to actually do for a living. You've got to allow the child to explore different opportunities. In other words, your job as a parent is not to channel the child into a particular vocation. It is to supply the child with as many possible examples of areas you could venture into as a career path as possible. So that's why the second video, is quite instructive, because you can see that the second video showing the young man with his father throwing the ball at him, where somebody then comments that, hey, take care of his hands and all that. The father has to tell the son, look, you have so many other options beyond football. Football is a possibility, yes, you have the talent, but nothing stops you from doing something completely different and being equally as successful, if not more successful. So Alder made that point that eventually he was able to find himself in a completely different field, and there he was again able to tap into his creativity. So ultimately the thing is, you have inborn within us the creative abilities to venture into any area of endeavor. It now depends on our passions and our interests to decide which one we will do. Give you an example, people want to be singers because they like the fact that Two-Facey, DBR, all the big name celebrities, people know them. When you're a singer, people recognize you. You're going on the street, they say, oh, that's Kiss Daniel. They listen to your songs on radio, and things like that. I think people love being popular in the conventional sense. They don't like to do work that does not get them to be visible to the large majority. People like to be recognized. Black people, we love it. We love attention. That's why we're very good as entertainers. We thrive on it. The problem is this: everybody cannot be popular and in the same way, and we cannot all be visible and be in the spotlight at the same time, and we cannot get the same kind of recognition. The truth is that there will always have to be some people in the background. There was a time I watched what do you call it? They do all these things where they show you the making of a particular movie. So you will get to watch these big movies, some of the very popular movies, like for instance Eddie Murphy's Coming to America. It's when you watch the movies and at the end of the movie they show you the credits and then you see the names scrolling. That is when you see a lot of people that made the movie you watched happen the way you found it. That is so nice and so believable and so enjoyable to watch. The credits show all the people behind the scenes that probably you will never even be able to identify, either by their names or by their actual faces. You may never ever get to see them on your screen, and yet without them, those movies probably will never make the same impact they made. That's where you get the Oscars and the Academy Awards and all that. They are given to people like best producer, best director. Those are people you don't see in front of a camera. Most times they are behind the camera. The cameramen themselves. There are cameramen and there are cameramen. There are photographers, there are photographers. There are makeup artists and there are makeup artists. People who are good at what they do, but who never get to be in front of the camera for you to know them. So you know the main guy, the so-called star and all that. But without the guys in the back room, behind the scenes, doing the important groundwork, doing the important manual labor, heavy lifting. That's the phrase I wanted to use. The heavy lifting. You may never ever get the same product. You are appreciating the same superstar, the same for instance Will Smith, much as he's not very popular right now, Eddie Murphy, all the big names, entertainment, even the Oprah Winfrey, the people that make her look good. It's not just her doing everything herself. She has to depend on a team of people, and many of those people never ever get to be in front of the camera. So the point I'm making is this: despite the fact that they never get to be in front of the camera, many of them are extremely successful and actually very well recognized in their own for what they do by the people in their industry. And I'm saying that you can equally pursue a career playing such roles in the lives of people who are more visible in the front. In fact, quite often you may find it much to your advantage to pursue a career in those lines, because the career that affords you anonymity as you are becoming successful financially and otherwise is probably something that you will cherish. Because who wants to be somebody that the paparazzi follow up and down all over the place? You can't breathe, you can't eat, you can't cough, you can't sneeze without them publishing it in the papers. What about the other guy who's in behind the scenes making everything happen and nobody ever knows he's the one? He's even walking the streets. They know his name, they don't know he's the one. So he walks past them, they don't know he's the one that just walked past. They sit beside him in a bus, they don't know. They sit in a movie theater with him, they don't know it's him or her. I would prefer that. And what I'm saying that, unfortunately, our upbringing, the mindset in black societies generally, because we are people that are attention seeking by nature. We are very we love to be seen and to show off and to get feedback that from large audiences. Because of that, it makes us unwilling to venture into those fields. That's why we don't like now. Okay, don't get me wrong. We have just as much capability as has been shown by historical evidence to be intellectually creative as white people, are even more. The facts speak for themselves. In America, evidence has come out very clearly. I saw a video with Dr. Ben Carson, when he was still Dr. Ben Carson, participated in the making of a movie called Return to Royalty. I talked about the history of black civilization, ancient black civilization. And I remember at a point Dr. Ben Carson was shown reciting a long list of African American inventors who had not been recognized because they had been overshadowed by their white bosses who took over their inventions and presented it as theirs to the public in front of the press. So people did not know about Louis Latimer, for instance. Right? There's this very popular one again. The real McCoy. This McCoy gentleman was bearing the name of his slave master, but he was actually a black man, and he had invented many things. Louis Latimer, the light bulb, the schematics for Alexander Graham Bell's invention, all those things, Louis Latimer did them. Many people did not know him. It's only because of the new work that's been done, bringing out the fact that he was actually the one behind the scenes doing a lot of the stuff, the heavy lifting for what's his name? Thomas Edison. That's how we got to know. So Dr. Ben Carson was sharing that, and my point is, so you find that we've had always the capability and the capacity to engage in vocations that do not require noise making, and in which one could be extremely successful. So for instance, imagine how many people do you know that are software or coding gurus, tech gurus that are black? We always say Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Think about it. What's the name of the Amazon guy now? I keep forgetting it. Jeff Bezos. How many of these? Okay, if I keep mentioning, you see that it's very difficult to come up with the black guys, but we do have a few. But that's the problem. There are a few. But when you talk about entertainment and sports, oh my God, it's black people all over. It's not that we don't have the ability to function in any of the other fields. It's because as a people, we feel we will not be appreciated enough if we venture into them, because we want to be seen. Now, if you're somebody that cherishes being seen, of course, follow your instincts. However, the truth of the matter is you limit yourself when you make it a choice or your own decision not to pursue areas where you have even greater potential. So yes, by default, black people are known to be great at sports and entertainment. So everybody, all the young guys want to go into black sports and entertainment. But who says that's all you can do? Why don't you combine it? And that's where I'm going with this message. Let me just round up. I know some people who are very gifted. So they are gifted in sports or entertainment or in creating music and all of that. They're good at lyrics. But I also see them, I interact with them. These are young guys I know, and they have powerful intellectual capabilities. And I look at some of them and I know that this guy, if he were to venture into coding, he will be making millions. And I know this because I'm a coder. I've been a programmer, developer in Excel Visual Basic for a long time, and I do web development coding as well to some extent. And I know what I've been able to do as a digital multipreneur. I'm a digital nomad. I travel as I work. And I'm telling you, the results I'm getting, I know that some of these guys, if they were to venture to do 1/10 of what I'm doing, they will be swimming in money. But they don't even want to consider it. Why? Because they know what's popular. They want to be doing what is popular. Unfortunately, the place that's popular is also overpopulated with people. All of you are competing for the same rewards. So you have limited options. It doesn't mean you can't make it, just that this you're going to have to do more work. Why not boost your chances of success by venturing into an area where you even have greater potential to succeed? And when you succeed there, then use the resources you get from there, especially money, to finance your way to success in the other area that you're going to have to compete. I remember the story of, and I'm going to end with that. I remember the story of, I watched an interview in which Arnold Schwarzenegger was talking about how he started his journey in bodybuilding. A lot of people do not know that Schwarzenegger became a millionaire by venturing, first of all, into real estate. He became a real estate merchant. He was making millions as a real estate professional. And it was the money he was making from real estate that he used to finance his entry into bodybuilding as a professional. So he was able to do it at the highest level because he needed money to be able to finance your access to gyms and to nutrition programs and all of that. So he made sure he had a cash flow generating system in place, which was his real estate business. That was his cash cow. Then he used that to finance his entry into bodybuilding, and he was able to do it big time. And that's why he was able to maintain the kind of success he did till he began, the performance he did till he began to break through and win. Now people need to understand that they don't have to limit themselves. So as a young person, if you're listening, even if you're not so young, don't limit yourself. Don't think this is the only area because this is where you want to go, therefore you must start by succeeding there. I told some of these young guys I related with, I said there's what you call bread and butter jobs. Take bread and butter job. That may mean that think of some other skill you have that you can use to finance yourself. You don't have money to do this and you cannot find a sponsor to do this one that you love, that is your dream. Okay, but there are some other things you know how to do. Go and do those things, because those other things you know how to do, people are ready to pay you for those ones already, as it were. Get people to pay you. Do it long enough, get enough money from there, then use it, channel that money and other resources into the one that you are not getting so much response from the market on. Use that to finance your way to success in that, because finance tends to be the limiting factor many times in these fields. For instance, the person that wants to start a music career, he needs to do some demos. He needs to go to the studio to record, but the studio recording is not cheap. But he doesn't have any means to make money. He wants to break through in things, so he wants somebody to believe in it, and he cannot find anybody to believe in him. The only solution is find a way to make money by yourself, and then use the money you make to invest in yourself. And if you believe in yourself and you believe that you are good, then why should you have a problem going to take the money you make from some other endeavor and putting it into your own business, as it were? Why would you have any problem with that? So the only reason you will not want to do that is because you don't believe you too can succeed. But if you believe you can succeed, then go and do other things you know how to do that can make money for you. Bring the money and invest it in yourself. So on a final note, what I'm saying is this: stop focusing on being popular or joining the popular field of vocation. Okay? Stop thinking and focusing on joining the popular areas of endeavor. If you want to succeed, consider exploring multiple channels in which to express yourself till you achieve success. And the thing is that nothing stops you from succeeding in multiple vocations. Then whichever one your heart is most drawn to, you can use the success from the other fields to push your ambition in that area. But if you don't do that, if you just focus on only that area and you're not getting the attention you need from that area, you're limiting yourself, and it's going to make you take longer before you break through, if at all you break through. So learn to explore multiple options intelligently. Don't spread yourself out too thin. But when something's not moving in one area, try and engage in other areas that you are good at or that you can be good at, that you know the market will respond to faster and better, and then channel the resources, the income you get from there to finance or to propagate your ideas or your intentions in the new area that you want to succeed in. And then when you do that, success will be literally inevitable for you. But if you keep focusing on just doing one thing and it's not working, and you keep and you don't think that you see, the idea is there are many ways to get to the market. That's an African saying. There are many roads lead to the market, and you don't have to follow the same path as other people. The purpose is for you to succeed ultimately, so you can be intelligently explore alternative routes to achieve your goals. And if you give a flexible mindset, you can never fail. Right, I hope you found this useful. I wish you well. Right, thanks for listening to my message. I hope you found it useful. Now, here's a call to action I want to make to you. You've listened to this message. Now you know that your child has several opportunities that are probably at his feet or her feet. And it's important for the child to get the proper guidance to make the most profitable decision for him or herself going into the future. Sometimes parents don't understand that. Some people want to live vicariously through their kids. They want to, the things they weren't able to achieve, they want to use their kids to achieve, and they claim their child wanted it. So they push their kids to pursue careers that eventually you see the same child when he becomes an adult chooses to go and pursue a completely different career. That's why you see a medical doctor that became a fashion designer and said, oh, I've always wanted to make clothes. Then you find the one that went into farm business and is a lawyer. So we need to do it better, because that length of time the child spends in pursuing a higher degree could have been used to hone his or her skills in that area of natural talents that he or she is gifted at. All right, so what I'm offering is the opportunity to have conversations with me, whether you're a parent or you're a young person approaching adulthood, or already in adulthood, you're a young adult, and you're trying to make up your mind. The decision can be very difficult to make. But I'm a person with a very keen multidisciplinary aptitude. It enables me to function in so many different fields at the same time. And over the last 15-20 years, I've been able to really see what people are doing in their lives in regard to what they studied in school up to tertiary level of education. And I've seen consistently that when people pursued their passions, their talents, and their gifts, it's allowed them to succeed almost without limitations. But whenever they were being forced to fit the mold of what the expectations from their parents or other people were, they struggled. So ultimately, the best thing is to let your child pursue what is his or her passion or interest that he's talented at. But sometimes you can be multi-talented and it becomes a problem. You are good at literally so many different things. How do you know which one to pick? Okay, so that process can be difficult for some parents to do. Some parents don't even want to do it. They don't care. Some parents just are too busy. Some parents are confused. Well, we all have our gifts. The gift I have been given by the Creator is the ability to help people with this kind of thing. So that's why I call myself a performance improvement specialist. So if you like some help and some support, you want insights to help you guide your child or even yourself to identify the right path to follow, to make an intelligent decision about where to pour your energy so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel or repeat something you've already done, do double work in finding your purpose in your life. Then I will ask you to send me an email via tayo@tksola.com, tayo@tksola.com. Okay, send it to me with your name and your WhatsApp number, right? And tell me that you watched this video and that you would like to join my club. Once you say that, I'll send you details of how that will happen, starting with a phone conversation I'll ask you to make to me, a phone call I'll ask you to make to me. All right, I look forward to talking with you, and I wish you well.